65 million years ago, the Earth was alive with creatures that seemed larger than life itself. Towering giants walked across steaming jungles, colossal predators hunted with precision, and skies thundered with the beating wings of reptilian rulers. It was an age of dominance, an age of dinosaurs, an empire that had lasted for over 160 million years. They were the undisputed kings of the planet, their reign stretching across every continent, their shadows cast over the oceans and the lands alike. To the world then, it must have seemed as if this kingdom of beasts would last forever. But forever is a fragile illusion, and destiny was about to prove just how quickly eternity can shatter. For in the vastness of the cosmos, far beyond the blue skies of Earth, something unimaginable was racing toward them, something that would change history in a single heartbeat. Imagine the silence of space, endless, dark, eternal. And in that silence, a fiery stone the size of a mountain hurtling forward at unimaginable speed. It had traveled for millions of years, crossing the void without aim or mercy. It had no life, no thought, no intent. Yet, it carried within it the power to erase nearly all life that Earth had nurtured for ages. As it streaked through the blackness, the fate of dinosaurs, the most powerful creatures to ever walk the land, was already sealed. They did not know, they could not know, and that is what makes their story so haunting. On Earth, life was thriving. Dense forests of ferns and conifers stretched for miles, and flowering plants had begun to paint the world in colors that had never been seen before. Massive herbivores like Triceratops grazed in herds, their horns gleaming under the prehistoric sun. Fearsome predators such as Tyrannosaurus rex ruled the plains, their roars echoing across valleys. In the rivers, ancient turtles and crocodilians lurked silently, waiting for prey. In the skies, flying reptiles soared, casting shadows over the land. The Earth was a living stage, bursting with activity, unaware that a silent actor was about to enter, a force so great it would bring down the curtain on this magnificent performance. And then, the moment came. The meteor, traveling at more than 40,000 miles per hour, entered Earth's atmosphere. To anyone who could have seen it, it would have appeared as a blazing sun tearing across the sky, brighter than anything before it. The air screamed with fire as the rock descended, its edges glowing molten, its body wrapped in flames. And then, impact. The colossal rock slammed into what is today the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, striking near a shallow sea. The force of the impact was beyond human comprehension. In a single instant, energy was released greater than the combined power of billions of nuclear bombs. Mountains shattered, oceans boiled, and the ground itself rippled like liquid. The impact carved out a crater nearly 150 kilometers wide and more than 20 kilometers deep, a wound in the Earth's surface that can still be traced today. In that one instant, life changed forever. The dinosaurs' empire began to collapse, not in centuries, not in decades, but in the blink of an eye. The shockwave raced outward at supersonic speed, flattening forests within hundreds of miles. Anything alive near the impact site was annihilated instantly. Creatures vaporized, plants incinerated, rocks turned to dust. A wall of fire surged across the land, igniting everything in its path. Even creatures thousands of miles away would not escape what was coming. For as the meteor struck, molten rock and vaporized earth were hurled high into the atmosphere, raining down across the planet. Each fragment burned as it re-entered the sky, heating the air until the entire globe felt as though it had been placed inside an oven. Wildfires raged across continents. Skies turned crimson, then black. But the horror did not end there. The meteor had struck near shallow seas rich in sulfur and minerals. When the rock collided, it vaporized not just land but ocean as well, sending billions of tons of sulfur into the sky. These particles spread across the atmosphere, blocking out the sun. Day turned to endless night. Temperatures plummeted. Photosynthesis, the heartbeat of the planet's food chain, came to a standstill. Plants withered and died. Herbivores starved. Carnivores soon followed. The great cycle of life that had sustained the dinosaurs for millions of years collapsed like a broken wheel. Imagine a Triceratops, wandering through a forest once green, now turned to ash. Its massive body, once strong and unyielding, grows weaker as food disappears. It bellows, searching for sustenance, but the plants have vanished, burned or frozen by the changing world. Or picture a Tyrannosaurus, king of predators, once feared by all. Now, it stumbles through a wasteland, its roar hollow against the silence of death. Hunger gnaws at it, but prey has become scarce. The mighty are reduced to shadows, their dominance undone not by another beast, but by the sky above. The oceans, too, suffered. The meteor's impact had unleashed tsunamis taller than skyscrapers, waves that traveled across entire seas. Marine reptiles, fish, and ancient creatures of the deep were torn apart, drowned, or stranded on coasts. And when the sulfur clouds thickened, acid rain began to fall, poisoning rivers and lakes. Coral reefs withered. The balance of water, land, and sky was broken all at once. And yet, in the midst of chaos, there was silence too, an eerie stillness as Earth struggled to breathe under a darkened sky. For weeks, months, perhaps even years, the sun could not pierce the blanket of ash and dust that cloaked the planet. The world became a cold, dim graveyard, where the last echoes of dinosaurs slowly faded. Entire species vanished in a matter of years. It was the end of an era, the end of the age of dinosaurs. But it was not the end of life. For while the giants fell, small creatures endured. Tiny mammals, once hiding in the shadows of dinosaurs, found refuge underground. Birds, descendants of smaller dinosaurs, managed to survive where their larger relatives could not. Insects, amphibians, and plants adapted, holding on through the darkness. Nature, though wounded, refused to surrender. And in that refusal lay the seeds of a new world, the world that would one day give rise to us. Still, the tragedy of that day echoes in history. Imagine the planet itself shuddering, the Earth crying out as its greatest rulers were swept away in fire and shadow. 65 million years have passed, yet the scar of that meteor remains, buried beneath layers of rock, hidden beneath the jungles of Mexico, but undeniable. It whispers to us still, a reminder of how fragile life truly is, how quickly everything can be taken. And this was only the beginning of the aftermath. The real story of survival, the struggle of species, and the birth of a new age was just beginning. The world after the meteor was unrecognizable. Once a paradise of lush forests, towering ferns, and endless herds, it had become a graveyard wrapped in darkness. The air, once thick with the calls of dinosaurs, was silent now, broken only by the crackle of distant fires and the hollow cries of survivors. Dust and ash blanketed the earth, blotting out the sun. The skies remained dim and gray, and the temperature dropped sharply, turning fertile lands into frozen wastelands. The reign of dinosaurs, rulers of the planet for over 160 million years, had ended in silence and shadow. The great predators, like Tyrannosaurus rex, who once stood at the top of the food chain, were among the first to vanish. Their strength had meant nothing when prey disappeared. Without plants to feed them, herbivores starved. Without herbivores, the predators followed. Huge sauropods, once masters of the open plains, fell to the ground, their colossal bodies left to rot on empty fields. The earth that once shook beneath their steps now lay still. And yet, while the giants perished, smaller, seemingly insignificant creatures clung to life. Burrowing mammals, no larger than rats, hid underground, feeding on insects and roots. Their small bodies, once a weakness, became their salvation, for they needed less food, less space, less light to survive. Amphibians sought shelter in muddy waters. Crocodiles and turtles, creatures of patience and resilience, endured in silence. And high above, some of the smaller feathered dinosaurs, what we now call birds, took refuge, scavenging, adapting, finding a way forward in a broken world. It is strange to think that while fire and darkness wiped away the kings of the earth, it also carved a path for new beginnings. From the ashes of disaster, evolution found opportunity. Mammals, long forced to the shadows by the dominance of dinosaurs, began to rise. They had always lived small, hidden lives, escaping notice under the feet of giants. But with the world emptied of its rulers, these creatures began to explore, adapt, and expand. Their numbers grew. They filled the void left behind. In time, the earth healed. Slowly, the dust settled, and light returned to the skies. New plants sprouted from the soil, hardy and resilient, breaking through ash to reclaim the land. Forests regrew, rivers ran clear, and green returned to the world. Yet the forests were no longer filled with the roars of dinosaurs. That age was gone. In its place came a quieter world, one where mammals multiplied, diversified, and began their long journey toward dominance. And so, in a way, the death of dinosaurs became the birth of us. The meteor that ended their world created the possibility of ours. If the dinosaurs had not fallen, mammals may never have risen. Humanity, as we know it, may never have existed. Every breath we take, every step we walk, carries within it the shadow of that ancient catastrophe. We are the children of survival, the descendants of those small, unnoticed creatures that endured when giants fell. But the story is not only about survival and rebirth. It is also a warning. The meteor reminds us that life, no matter how powerful or permanent it seems, can change in an instant. The dinosaurs believed themselves eternal, yet all it took was one rock from space to end their empire. 65 million years later, their bones lie buried in stone, their skeletons displayed in museums, silent reminders of what once was. They teach us humility. They show us the fragility of existence. Imagine standing today in the jungles of the Yucatan, where the crater of that meteor still lies hidden beneath layers of earth. You would not see it at first glance, just forests, rivers, and green. But beneath your feet is the scar of the apocalypse, the very place where fire rained down from the heavens. It is humbling to realize that one event in that spot reshaped the destiny of the entire planet. Somewhere, deep in the echoes of time, the roars of dinosaurs still live. In every fossil, in every track, in every feather of a bird soaring above us, their story remains. They are gone, but not forgotten. Their fall gave rise to our world, but their memory stands as a testament to both the power and fragility of life. Answer: the tale of the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs is not only a story of destruction, it is a story of change, of endings and beginnings. It is a story that whispers across time. Nothing lasts forever, not even kings. The age of dinosaurs ended, but from their ashes, a new chapter began. 65 million years ago, a fiery stone from the heavens ended an empire. Today, we walk in the world that rose from its shadow. And perhaps, someday, far into the future, another force will come from the sky, reminding life once again of how fragile it truly is. Until then, the story of the dinosaurs remains a haunting reminder that in the dance of creation and destruction, no reign is eternal, and no life is beyond the reach of fate.